we have the wrong names there. G2 Hell versus Big Chroma. There you go. G2 Hell versus Big Chroma. We have G2 on a decisive moment to guarantee a slot in the grand finals and the potential for Big Chroma to turn it around. What are your thoughts entering the Summoners Ref, Dude?
First of all, I have to take knowledge of the summoner spells in bot lane. Kaltis has gone for Ignite Lucian. Now, in the VT that we showed, she said Twitch is probably her favorite champion. The other AD carry that you can take Ignite on is Twitch. I am expecting aggression down on this bot side. Kaltis is going to be getting in and amongst the faces of Xavi and Lumi and making them feel extremely uncomfortable. This Ignite kill pressure should be through the roof. And when there's only a heal in the bot side for Lumi to try and keep her AD carry alive, you're looking at less combat tools in the early laning phase. Ghost isn't going to help you out too much in that 2 versus 2, and Kaltis and Column should be finding advantages. Once again, early ganks down to this bot side are what we expect to see, and whether or not it happens to come through is of course a matter of time.
It's finally the moment where we have teams switching sides. It's going to be a late invade here. Sweeper is on. Trez doesn't have any knowledge of them there. They have a deep ward, so they know jungler is the mid lane is not around, but they're going to go collapse on Trez. It's a flash away. They're going to focus on the red instead. So they take that big bonus there. It's going to be very good for Sheena to start stacking up. I didn't even notice where the... Oh, the first mark is just on the first Scuttle Crab, isn't it? If I'm not mistaken. There you go. So we're still waiting for it. Yeah.
See whether or not you get top side or bot side Crab for Sheena. She's going to be hoping for the bot side one immediately. Trez is beelining it into that top side of G2 Hell's jungle now. This was on vision and she was spotted heading up toward this, but if we take a quick look at that mid lane, Vixen is also cheating very heavily toward that top side. You can see the mid lane has almost swapped positions, just recognizing the nature of this vertical jungle. Clear Prio in the top side as well for Chromac means that this cross map can come through. I don't think that Trez is going to be able to secure the entire top side, which means that Sheena is going to come out on top in this trade. You get to see at the very minimum a potential gank, actually.
Ooh, yeah, there you go. There's one auto attack here from Sheena and the Wolf as well. With the help from the bot lane, they're going to pressure them back to base. They're actually going to go within the turret. Xavi, one less shot for Sheena. The flash forward and the Wolf finishes it off. What a start, a grand entrance for G2. And Sheena almost stopped the recall as well. I heard you gasping, dude.
Yeah, that was very close. That was almost 2 for the price of 1 for G2's bot lane. And as we'd advertised coming into this game, we're anticipating early game aggression from G2's bot side, and that's exactly what we get to see. Xavi and Lumi unfortunately not respecting this split map that we've got between our junglers. There is no way that Trez is going to be down there to protect you from this early game dive. And look at the CS numbers, in case it wasn't significant enough in the gold disparity at being 500 in just 3.5 minutes. More than double the farm that Xavi has in the back of Kaltis' pocket. So she's already off to the races. Kerchase Shard finished, long sword as well. There is an extra item really in Kaltis' inventory. And now we get to see that first base come through for Sheena as well. Double longsword finish, that triple longsword even. And I didn't quite get to see. Looks like she rolled high on the marks. 1 mark already on the Kindred. So that first Scuttle Crab got picked up. Successfully off to the races. 4, of course, your Kindred golden number.
You know what I want to say about that, dude? Fortune doesn't favor fools. And that's what happened there. It's a misfortune line. There is no misfortune here. That hasn't been for a while. But that's what happened with the Kindred. We saw them going for the vertical jungler, as you mentioned. But bot lane is going for a very vertical attempt of taking Lumi's life. Xavi still pushing it back to try to take some damage back. And Columbo falling a little low in health. Lumi pops a potion, doesn't go back to base. But the fact that it was successful, not just of an invade, but a dive, and the markers on this side of the map, Sheena is just coming out on top every single corner.
And the beauty of Kindred vertical jungling is that it adds those chances of you to secure the... Oh, wow. Okay, never mind. Kaltis just kills Lumi.
What? Get me a replay of that, please. Production, get me a replay of that so we can analyze it afterwards, because that was
That's very little analysis needed, unfortunately. It's just E-flash death.
Yeah, exactly. To be fair, it's kind of similar to what we saw Trez doing on a Poppy in the previous game, wasn't it?
Yeah, a little bit of deja vu, honestly. Just flash forward onto the Enchanter support, kill them instantly. I mean, G2 this time are the ones taking ownage of that bot side and really playing around this Lucian Nami successfully. The Drake, fairly early on in the game, it looks like it's going to be secured. We can see Trez is on that top side. If we take a look at our mini-maps, those wolves are getting the business right now, but it's the dragon going the way of Sheena, of G2. You know, it's just completely bot side focus from G2 Hell, and so far it is paying off.
Really paying off, Rude Dudes, and I think that was also planned as well when you have Tifa going back to the lane with the TP, trying to not let that wave shove, and at the same time getting the TP. We're having instant replay. Oh, production, you're spoiling us. Let's see how this one goes. We're gonna see that into the E from Nami flash forward Q, and then it's death, instant death. So if that wasn't a dodge from Xavi there, it would have been another bubble kill too. Oh, and Trez going in with Tifa. There's a lot of damage going down on Trez. Instead, they're going to go in with the W. Has to flash over the wall. Kept safe. G2 really pulling out the aggression you wanted.
They are, and I'm really happy about it, right? Wanted to see this Lucian Nami lane try and find advantages. It's gone further than that now. We get to see Tifa punishing in that top side, recognizing that, hey, we're controlling this red side jungle of Big. Why don't we try and, you know, take back control of our top side? And they do exactly that. One thing that you will notice here is that our junglers have been so sort of haphazard in how they've been able to clear, because they're going quite long distances between camps, is that they're only level 4, level 5, where our mid laners are ticking over to level 6, level 7. So Vixen right there had a, you know, very real kill angle onto Sheena if she'd have stepped a little too far forward. The 3 level differences between a Cassio and a Kindred certainly do make for scary reading if you are the lower level in that situation. Going back to base though, as Vixen already got that tier in the back pocket, and we talked about late game scaling for game number 1, in particular Kaltas' Zeri. This time round, it's Big Chroma who have got that insane late game, right? They've got the Zeri, they've got the Cassiopeia as well. 2 for the price of 1 in terms of late game hyper carries.
But in regards to early game, Sheena is not making it good for Big Chroma. They have stolen the second of red here. Is there a second? I must be missing something, probably third. And Tifa's around the corner.
Good.
Was it? Okay, there you go. So we got Tifa on the backup as well. The shadow from every player when they go to aggressive plays like this has always been there. Tifa roaming to the top lane too for the jungle, taking that flash out of Trez. Everything working good for G2 so far.
See, Trez is lurking down here, recognizing Kaltas will want to be aggressive, will want to try and push that lead. Second that she dashes forward, you know that Wukong's just waiting in the wings. Unfortunately, not level 6 on the Wukong. No Cyclone to bully Kaltas if she steps too far forward. And they're going to try and control this wave here. Wow.
Woo! Very close. They have to pop in the flash here from Lumi. As you have as well spotted, the Kindred is around the corner. Both mid laners was really like, okay, do you need help? Okay, I've got comms, I got your back, but not neither this time around. It was just a little bit of a scare, and you would expect that from the Lucian, as you said. That's why Trez was there. Top lane is going to be just both of them slapping around. And being a Renekton, you have much more potential of resistance. Nice bubble in with the Kindred as well. The damage from the wolf is going to hit, but one target from the turret onto Kaltas is going to get them a little bit on the retreat.
Now this is scarily doable for G2 Hell. They've got Lamb's Respite, and you can see a 3v3, usually you won't get forced away from your turret, but with the amount of burst damage that you have with Tidecaller's Blessing from Colombe Bleu and the Lucian burst as well, the first strike adding to that, actually a whole lot of respect needed to be paid by Big Chroma. It comes at the cost of what is a third turret plate down on that bot side, and don't get me wrong, it sucks if you're Big Chroma in this position because you know you're losing out on so many minions, so much experience, but you have to seed there, you have to go back and you have to say, well, that's just a loss that I have to take, otherwise it's going to be even worse. When you die, you lose more experience, and you're giving gold as well over to the G2 bot lane.
Countess has just finished the Storm Razor, currently on 1,500 gold ahead. Their opponent in the bot lane, Xavi, definitely falling behind. With, as you said, with the pressure, taking down the waves, not leaving anything for the ADC to farm. And it was going to be a no-brainer. There they are. It's going to be Sheena and the support. Actually, they have switched places, and they're going to go for this Herald pretty easily. Wukong is around, but they don't really have that much pressure, even though they have the vision from the Scuttercrab.
No, I like this roam though from Columbia, where when you've got such a powerful AD carry, you can afford to leave her on her own for just a little bit of time and ensure that your jungler has the necessary support needed to take this Rift Herald. And then as soon as that's been established, okay, are you good on this Herald? Yeah, I'm good. You can go back bot lane. Fine. Columbia makes her way back down here. Of course, Kaltis has somehow managed to get the wave in the most amazing position ever, despite the fact that she's in a 1 versus 2. But now that Nami's back, play a little bit more aggressively again, and immediately want to notice this from Sheena. Has 2 top camps up, has all of her bot side jungle up, is skipping the majority of it to get down to this bot side. If they break open the turret and they use this Rift Herald, they can force a dragon. They've got a lot of plays to be had, and farming the jungle just isn't optimal at this time.
Rude, I would say that the one thing to characterize this game for G2 has been control. Over the wave, over the map, over the objectives. We saw them getting such a good kill here in the bot lane. They pressured out. That paid off into a Herald just in time for the Drake to spawn. And there they are again. It's going to be a counter-attack here when they already engage in Trez is very far ahead. The TP is going to go on a minion, and they're going to potentially have to retreat. Tifa's might be in a rough spot. They use the tomb. They're going to be falling very low, but the respite is there. They're still trying to fight it back. The healing is coming through. Nami's going to have to heal much more because Countess is around 20% health. They're going to try to push a little further with Vixen, but it's still a little scary considering that you can't really get any more deaths on the side of Big Chroma. That's while I say that, Chroma might be the one getting handed into a big plate, and it doesn't happen this time around, but woo!
And unfortunately,
they are throwing in aggression everywhere.
5 members just, you know, at the very least, use their ulti on every single side. So everybody getting down and dirty. Unfortunately, nobody goes down. And honestly, I think that's a win for Big when they're so far behind in these early stages. The fact that they're going even in these exchanges is actually beneficial for them. They don't want that snowball to continue rolling down the hill, and they do a very good job actually at stopping it in its tracks. Now, of course, that's not going to be the first and only attempt from G2 to try and push that lead. They're going to be coming back once again. They've still got that Rift Herald, and you can see Sheena immediately back on this bot side is going to want to break open that first brick. If they can do that, they then enable a play to get Kaltis more gold on other turrets as well. Plates are likely going to have fallen by the time that they get down to moving the Lucian out of bot lane, but they've still got a lot of turrets that are standing gold in their own right that this Lucian will more than happily take.
And how early is it that we have a Herald in the bot lane with still Platons going and the Hextech gates are locked? So you're going to go in if you're Kaltis. You have the pressure here from the Herald as well. You can go in within the turrets. It's going to be a takedown. So much gold converted for the 3 members there, bot laners and jungle alike. And they're going to push in a little further, much more, because you know how much the Lucian can do in pushing in the waves. The Kindred has a double buff. It's going to be another charge from the Herald. Very nicely done. They're going in on Lumi. Maybe they're going to go for a dive as well. Once again, you have the blessing from Nami taking Lumi so close. The Wolf is there as well. And in the pre-14 minutes, tier 2 takedown for G2.
That's a lot of gold as well. Those inner turrets, they hold 600 gold in a side lane. So that's split amongst 3 people. Yes, it's not going to be the greatest injection into one person specifically, but overall the gold lead for G2 continuing to rise, getting larger and larger after every single set play. Take a look at the items between the AD carries once again. Xave has got the worst components, honestly, of a Trinity Force versus Kaltis, who has got just a full Storm Razor and then the building blocks for numerous other items as well. In the olden days, it's built into a rapid fire cannon. If it still does, then great, we're almost there. So we're in a really good spot for Kaltis at the minute, and so far, what we've seen from G2 is them use this Lucian Nami to just the best end, move it around the map now. They've made that bot lane play, they take it straight up to that top lane. More standing gold on the map, the tier 1 turret in the top side, and if they're allowed to go for a tier 2, why wouldn't they?
And can we appreciate Rudude that it's exactly as you said, so much pressure from the bot lane, Lucian Nami, and yet there's still just 2 kills on the board. 2 kills on the board, and they were able to assert so much pressure everywhere. Tier 2 taken in the bot lane, another turret in the top lane for Countess, solo gold for that matter, while they clean up just every single buff in the side of the jungle. They are just letting Tress starve, thirsty for anything, for any resources. Big is really falling super behind, while there isn't that much, at least 2 minutes ago, there wasn't that much of a difference in gold. G2 is now 5,000 ahead.
This is the prime example of what I was expecting, having seen G2 play from yesterday. And all of the talk on the desk was these controlled, disciplined team that are just gonna outplay you on the map. This feels exactly like that, because G2 haven't had to force fights. They've been threatening them, but the threat alone has been enough for Big Chroma to say, actually, you're right, we can't be here, we can't take this fight. And with that recognition, Big Chroma have conceded a lot to no success, unfortunately. Not really had any cross-map successes this game, not had those big ticket purchases come through. The only thing that we can really look to, okay, are you dead, Zarby? Ghost, I think she's fine.
I think she is fine.
Okay.
There's nobody coming on the flank, so there you go. ADC lives.
The important thing is that, like you say, the AD carry lived and you're not giving more gold. Oh, Vixen's dead. That's not great.
Oh, hello, mid laner. Goodbye, mid laner.
This is the prime example of play safe mid when you get Lissandra Malphite ulted and there's literally nothing you can do.
Yes, and they're going to be taking this Drake so easily as well. It would be a objective bounty for Big Chroma, but they're not even close to getting ahead of it. Now we'll see as well. I mentioned luck for G2 in regards to the first mark spawn for Kindred. Sheena had that going super well for her. They don't have it super well here for Lumi. The last hit is going to be enough for the Storm Razor proc, and they're going to be down. Count is very low as well, but the ulti from Kindred is going to help. They have the cycle and have to flash away. They still crit on Wukong and finish them off. Chromac has to flash away under the turret. Vixen is there, but there's not much the Snake can do at this moment. Rudude, G2 is not leaving anything for Big on the map.
No, this G2 identity is just so fleshed out. It's so good to see, even when they don't have double enchanters. They play Protect Kaltis, and Kaltis as well is playing on the absolute limit of what this Lucian can do. Sheena there, uses the Lamb's Respite, saves her AD carry. Then as soon as the Wukong comes flashing in, unfortunately Trez, she just mistimed it, didn't quite find that CC on the window where the Lamb's Respite was going to expire, so you kill him, or kill him, the Lucian, on that exact timing. So it's just unfortunate, slight misplays, but equally very good recognition and cognizance from the G2 side of, if my Lucian goes down, we have a lot tougher time, but equally, Kaltis is the only one that they're focusing, so we can do everything in our power to keep her safe. That's exactly what they do. It's exactly how they come away with the win.
And they're taking this Herald as well, have just finished it. G2 guaranteeing all the objectives so far. Once again, in a very G2 health fashion, the game's going to be paused briefly. And with that, I think it's a good opportunity for us to talk a little bit more, right, Rudude? And I think every single thing that G2 has done has all been for purpose. When we are casting something in the bottom lane, and then there's, well, nothing comes out of it. An enemy has been slain on the other lane, because they're really taking pressure on all the sides of the map.
Yeah, well, there's no safe place. It is what you're learning if you're Big Chroma, unfortunately. And when you're down this amount of gold, when you don't have yet a kill on the board, no turrets to speak of, and not particularly an avenue back in the game, it's absolutely terrifying to see these 3 lanes of permanently pushing with your Malphite on one side, who, granted, isn't the biggest DPS threat, but just literally will not die. It's absolutely terrifying to think of as a Big Chroma player, fan, supporter. Everything is just very difficult to lean into.
It really is, and they're making just every single thing to guarantee that is no way that Big Chroma can come back around. And it's just the way that G2 has been playing so far. I think that it's going to maintain itself that way. Is there any breach for Big Chroma to turn this around?
So,
all objectives behind. Tell me.
The way that they do this is they, they get into a nice, comfortable incubator and they do their best turtle cosplay, because they're going to have to sit and wait for, I will say, 20-30 minutes yet still from this point. They need to be on even items and have a better late game team fighting composition, because that fundamentally they do, right? You've got the Zeri, you've got the Cassiopeia. Later on, you're going to do more damage than a Lucian is, than a Lissandra is. Now, obviously, pound for pound, you look at the top side, you give a little bit of weighting to G2 there, but it's not going to be quite the same. The issue, of course, is that we're expecting and need those things to happen when the two teams are at parity, when they are equal with one another. And the time in which we're going to see those two teams equal with each other is, like I say, 20 to 30 minutes away. And that's with the hope that G2 haven't miraculous, or the G2 haven't ended the game. And the expectation is that they will do, that they will go and have this big finals rematch, because they're in the exact prime position to do it.
They are. I don't think that would be anything indicating that G2 would drop the ball at this point. They have everything, all the eggs on the basket, and it would be very hard to let them crash on the floor. There is all the confidence, all the communication, all the strategy behind everything they have been doing. Is this pause going to make any difference in regards to how big has been playing? And if we don't really know what was the reason for the pause, but maybe something might spark there. It's a hope that we have for our underdog, trying to get us into a game 3 enough last semi-finals of the day, because it would be a rematch clash, Midnight versus G2 Hell, as we saw on the Rising Stars 2022. And don't we love a fight like that? Don't we love a whole semester after it? Don't we love it?
Yeah, and a chance then at least for Clash to, repeat the winners finals from that double elim would obviously be their goal. Best of 3 on the way for the finals. G2 still need to wrap up this game, as we've mentioned. The expectation is that they will be able to do so, but I don't want to take away from what we saw from Big. This game hasn't looked the greatest, but I think that game number 1 was a completely different story, where they definitely had roots to win that game, where they could have taken game number 1 off the rip and put like a real statement out on their name themselves. If people go away with this slightly sour taste of Big Chroma in their mouth just because game 2 was a bit of a stomp, you have to remember that game number 1 could have very easily been taken by them and was a genuinely close fought battle.
It was, dudes, but at the same time, it's something I mentioned in the post-game analysis. Even though we had Big Chroma very ahead, around 3K or 2K or 4K, in most of the game, it still didn't feel like they were ahead. You felt like a control of the group, the control of the terrain was so much better for G2. The objectives were taken down mostly by them, and it stacked up. It gradually became a nuisance. It gradually became a problem. It gradually became the end of that game. So it's very unfortunate that was the case for them, because I agree, they could have turned it around. But this game is a completely different story.
Yeah, and it goes back to the level 1 as well, because there was this deep invade at level 1 to make this split map happen, and then Sheena was able to punish with a dive on the bot side. We're back into game though. Back into this G2 Big Chroma matchup. Second item finished for Vixen. As we mentioned, the way that we're expecting Big to have a single chance at winning this game is when their carries hit parity, hit the same items as their counterparts. Now, fortunately, it will be said that Tifa is going for a very low damage, very utility-esque style build, but that doesn't really matter. Tifa's not the main carry of this squad. It is Kaltison. She is by far and away the richest member in this game, the most important player for G2 in this composition. If she stays alive, she's going to be absolutely fine, and G2 should take a win.
I think that one thing that could be super pivotal as well, even if you have taken Kaltus down, if there's still Sheena around, I think there's still game to be played. Of course, it's not as if it was a super long fight. If that's the case, then definitely Big is going to win it. But it's still a threat that the Kindred can throw into the table. They're 2-0-2, have found quite well. And the problem is that you're going to go past the Lucian, then past the Kindred to then get the fight. And at this point, with the Lamb's Respite, with the ulti from Lissandra, Tidal Wave, healing, Unstoppable Force from Malphite, can you even get to Countess?
The short answer is no. The longer answer is there's a chance that Kaltis presents herself. Now, the Lucian is going to be very aggressively dashing forward. That's what we expect from Lucian players just in general, is that they're trying to push forward and be aggressive. The onus is then on Tifa, Lysia to be pushing forward as well, to be, you know, using that Malphite ult aggressively, dashing forward with the claw on Lissandra. And just to sort of add to that as well, team fights are just so easy for G2 because they've got the Lissandra passive as well. They can use Malphite ult on literally the first target, use Lissandra ult to chain CC and lock them down, and then as soon as that happens, the rest of Big can't go through a Lissandra passive for fear of taking, you know, massive AoE damage and big slows that make these teamfights even easier for G2, so that the team fighting is also very easy even if you don't have a very fed Lucian in your roster.
I'm very on board with you. I think that would be a mistake from Countess to be able to get her in a bad position. And even if that's the case, I think that the rest of the team is so in sync that they would be there to try to save her. Yeah. They would be coming from downtown, even if it includes CPs from around the map. Yeah. I think it's just so much to keep her alive. And it comes down to the core of the team, how much they have been playing together, the experience, and it's culminating in them having all objectives, directing themselves into the soul point. 30 seconds for the final one, the Hextech Soul. And
in case, you know, game number one with the Chemtech Soul may have left us a little bit like, oh, well, we kind of needed a good soul for this. Well, Hextech is just buying away the best soul that we have in League of Legends right now. So if we get to see G2 pilot this one and pick it up, I expect to see that game again become much, much more difficult. Lysia getting chunked out a little bit in the start of this. Vixen doing some good damage means that if she's going to dash forward with that Malphite ult, probably going to be a one-way trip, but with teleport ready, she can go back to base and she can try to get a nice angle on this fight.
A good setup for G2 on this one. As you mentioned, the TP is ready. She is going in, Lysia. They're letting
the flank, though, the TP to bot lane.
Yeah, there we go. The flank, as you said it. They're going to go for behind. The Shadow Wave is going to hit, but the buff up onto 3 members, including Lumi. The ADC is going to try to get kite away. Xavi is there. They get 1 kill, though. It's going to be 2 kills, actually, for the G2 squad. They are melting down. Ace is imminent for G2 Hell as they guarantee this last buff and just really direct themselves to the grand finals.
10,000 gold lead, Hextech Soul, Baron as well. G2 Hell are going to destroy this game. 2-0 is very much on the cards, not a single kill back as of yet. And that team fight, once again, just a great example of how easy these team fights can be for G2. Credit to Lysia there, because her TP flank was genuinely sort of game or fight defining there. Split apart 3 members of Big Chroma, meant that they didn't have good access to that front line, couldn't go forward as a unit. And I have to give credit over to Xavi, because she played that fight as best as she could on the Zeri, dodged away from the Malphite ulti, but was dealing a lot of damage over a wall. She got really separated from the damage that was going to come into her, and then instantly, oh, I've been flashed on by Lissandra and I'm dead. There was not a particularly large gap between those two things happening, and, you know, credit where it's due, because Xavi plays that fight about as best as she could do. Unfortunately, without the items there, with all of the issues that she's had through the early stages of this game, just didn't quite have the damage to back it up.
Having some technical issues here with one of the players, therefore the technical pause, but we're still going to keep talking about this a little bit more, Rudude. I think, and I wonder, is it a possibility that because we saw Vixen dealing so much damage onto the Malphite, that it clicked that they should go back to base and then go in a backline? Was that already preempted? Did they already think, oh, the ward is there, I'm going to TP away? Because when you're already in the fight, I don't think it's that usual. Right. I don't think it's that usual for you to go like, I'm going to go back to base and then go back there. I think it just clicked. Oh, I'm so low. I'm going to go in the back.
It was that thought process, and you could see it happening. Oh, I'm low HP. I should go back to base, which means I'll have to TP. Oh, I can TP into a really advantageous position here, and the stars sort of aligned, and it meant that you got that TP into a bot wave that had been nicely prepped. So it was, like you said, I think you're quite right, that just all of these things cycled quite well. Now, there's obviously a world where we could have just seen the Malphite TP to the bot lane anyway, right? It's a bit unusual, but we have seen it before, where even if you're just pretty much in the fight. If you want to find a TP, if you step back a little bit, teleport behind them and really cut them off. It's been done before. It's not unforeseen, but it's certainly something that could have been on the minds of G2 House. So, you know, credit where it's due, because that TP again still comes out and it still makes a very large difference.
It so did, and I'm telling you, every single bit of this game has had the stars and everything constellations aligned for G2. From the mark from the Kindred, from the Hextech Soul, allowing them to move through the map even more aggressively than they would have in the beginning. And then you finally wrap that up, that the one person who really gets damaged is the one who has the TP, and there's a ward in the backline. Fantastic. I would even love to talk to the girls about it afterwards, because I'm still thinking, is it a thing? Because there's so big of a stigma on going a little bit to the back of a fight and TPing like 2 meters away. There's a big stigma on it. And to be fair, if we were casting it, we would have been a little confused as well. But that's not what happened. So really everything fallen into place to get G2 into the grand finals for their revenge match.
My main concern right now is, can they successfully finish off this Baron? Because I was looking at the HP bars. You know, I don't think that we have a Kindred ulti to go round. And at the minute, at the very least, for Sheena, she's playing on the edge a little bit of using the Kindred passive to get a little bit of healing. We're going to be relying a lot on Colombo to try and give a little bit of healing where she can, because, like I say, those health bars are a little low, and there's one way that, and one of the weirdest ways to throw, it's a Baron throw, but in a zero enemy situation.
That would have been the funniest bit. If they commit to it and they end up dying, like executed. Oh, there you go. One is executed. The other hit on Sheena. It's coming. Okay, she has enough to heal, and the T for TP comes in clutch. What in the world? Rude, dude. This game is another level.
I mean, okay, so Kaltus dying, or being the one that dies there, generally speaking, is like the best case scenario for Big, right? And I say best case in the loosest term, because they just got 5 for 0 aced, they just lost Soul, and they just lost Baron, right? They're not in a good way right now. Big Chroma are certainly on the struggle train, but that the Kaltus doesn't have Baron, it's a saving grace for them, and it buys Big 20-30 seconds out on the map, where otherwise, you know, Kaltus would have been able to recall, be back out on the map a little bit sooner, and then obviously G2 can exert their pressure. But unfortunately, this is a dead Renekton.
It's a dead Renekton, and it's a TP used here that might be leading to another death on the Vixen. Unstoppable force. Oh, trade. Oh my god!
No trade. Sorry.
Blah, blah. And the healing that you mentioned from Kindred. Excuse me. You gotta have some confidence to still be there. You gotta have some confidence. To be fair, not having flash, you gotta just commit to it.
Yeah.
They have committed, they have the soul, they have Baron, they're pushing in. 2 towers down. It's going to be easy to open up the space.
And Trez still in that bot side. She's not even started recalling just yet. At the best, it's going to be a 2 versus 5 defense here. And we know that Xavi, Lumi, they've been struggling so far through this game. They can use the gates to portal away if they so desire. Makes it, again, this rotation through the rift and through the base, really, of Big Chroma. Very, very easy.
Super easy indeed. They're targeting here the Nexus series. Vixen trying to go in, getting something out of it. They place the miasma. Is going to be ulti coming from Lucian, clearing out the wave, clearing out some damage on the enemy's Crow is just melting down. There is no front line that's Renekton anymore, and I don't think there's anything standing in the way from G2 and the victory. Maybe the turrets here, some tower shots here and there, but considering how much this Nami has been healing. Oh, there we go! The flank coming in as well, and you have Nami trying to help somewhat. There you have it. It's going to be the last kill. Last 2, 3, 4, 5 into potentially an ace before the takedown of this. At least one kill here for Big. The shutdown onto Tifa as G2 secures the crown into leading our grand finals against Clash Midnight.
The rematch is fulfilled. Going to get to see once again the 2 top teams, it feels like, from Women's League of Legends go head to head. G2 Hell 2-0